Ambassador Alice Wells, Acting Assistant Secretary for South and Central Asian Affairs of the U.S. Department of State, spoke about a free and open Indo-Pacific region. She made these remarks at the hearings on U.S. interests in South Asia and the fiscal year 2020 budget of the Committee on Foreign Affairs of the U.S. House of Representatives.
What do you envision the relationship with the U.S. and India vis-a-vis China strategically? I mean, can you give us a 1, 2, 3 overview of what the State Department envisions for that relationship or of that relationship vis-a-vis China?
Both the United States and India believe in a free and open Indo-Pacific region. We believe, so first, we are worried about China's ambitions and aggressions as they're manifesting themselves in the Indo-Pacific. I think second, we are concerned by a policy of predatory lending, unsustainable loans, loans that don't adhere to labor environmental standards, and loans that have led to, in the Indian Ocean region, the loss of sovereignty, whether it's in Sri Lanka or Pakistan or what was about to happen in the Maldives. And so I think we have a clear-eyed understanding of the need for us as like-minded democracies to work with other like-minded democracies like Japan and Australia to provide alternatives to countries in the region. We're not trying to make this a zero-sum game, but countries should, as they pursue necessary infrastructure development, not have to go down a road that's ultimately going to compromise their national security or their economic well-being. And we have, through our bilateral and now these quadrilateral sessions that we're doing with India, Japan, and Australia, we're working on sort of practical steps that we can take to coordinate on our finance development, so through the BUILD Act, the practical steps we can take to make sure our assistance programs, whether it's USAID or the Millennium Challenge Corporation, are helping to promote regional connectivity. And this is really one of the most exciting elements of the Indo-Pacific strategy, and where I expect to see a lot of progress. The President will be meeting with Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Abe in Japan at the G20, and we'll have an opportunity, I think, to again highlight this new partnership of ours.
Perhaps all nations concerned about Sri Lanka might do well to remember that Sri Lanka is a civilization that has survived and thrived for millennia and wasn't born yesterday. Perhaps it is that geopolitical immaturity and the intoxication of power that has led nations to believe they can pontificate to smaller democracies on how they should be handling themselves on the world stage. Ms. Wells, in her statement, quite rightly points out that it is wrong for a nation to have to compromise its sovereignty and national security in exchange for economic infrastructure development. However, she seems to contradict herself when she then refers to US aid and MCC as assistance programs that are aimed at promoting regional connectivity. That the MCC is shrouded in controversy, considering a focus on creating an economic corridor from Trincomalee to Colombo, is public knowledge. And not to mention the massive national objections to the terms and conditions of the so-called AXA and SOFA agreements that, when combined, border on occupation and infringe on the very sovereignty and national security Ms. Wells purports her government is committed to protect. Perhaps Ms. Wells is fully aware of the lack of educated, patriotic politicians in the Sri Lankan parliament and is playing up to that unfortunate situation. However, while 225 parliamentarians may be pliable to this rhetoric, 22 million Sri Lankans are not as easily convinced, as they are not only educated, but also vehemently opposed to Sri Lanka being considered a doormat in the pursuit of the interests of other nations. By all means, bring your funds into Sri Lanka, but we do not need your charity. We do not need protection. Invest in Sri Lanka or leave us alone.